Hello everyone, Jim Boebel here again. I'd like to take a couple minutes out of your day and put some highlights on efforts that we're doing in our district with Mrs. Zachary and Mr. Crase. Recently, our district was represented at the SLATE conference, and the SLATE conference is a statewide event, and it's not where Fred Flintstone's boss was at. Not that at all. This is all about how do we incorporate technology into our classrooms to help our kids learn. Now, our staff presented to the SLATE conference, and a lot of that was on how to use hyperdocs and how to improve instruction. So if your students have come home asking about that, this is what we're doing in our high school and throughout our district. But what I would like to do is highlight, while we were there, we saw some pretty impressive speakers. So if you could, share what you were moved by and then what we're sharing with our staff here.
The opening keynote really kind of was the highlight for me. He talked a lot about two things that really, I guess, hit home to my classroom and my instruction. The first one was culture, and developing culture and just the interactions that take place between learners and teachers in the classroom, out of the classroom, the community, and highlighting some of those interactions to really, I guess, develop your culture in your classroom, your culture in your school, and really turn that into a positive thing using technology and using a lot of other resources. And then I guess the other thing that really hit me was his use of inquiry. And he had a statement about, am I teaching students answers or am I teaching students how to ask better questions? And the new social studies framework has come out recently. We have a new set of standards, and a huge part of those new standards is all about inquiry, helping students not just ask questions, but ask good questions, really developing some of those critical thinking skills and kind of building on the knowledge that is already there and encouraging them to kind of take that to the next level in terms of critical thinking. So that was a real highlight for me.
Oh, Mrs. Zachary.
All right, I think for me it was actually our ending keynote. His name is John Spencer, and he talked a lot about just choice and voice and how our goal as educators is to empower students. And he had a really I thought, thought-provoking quote. It was, do you want students to be engaged for an hour or empowered for a lifetime? And I thought that really hit home of when I plan my lessons, am I, okay, I just need to get through these 50 minutes, or am I having students be lifelong learners? Can they take this from my classroom to another grade, beyond high school, wherever they're going? And so it was really encouraging to me that you can still keep really high standards and still make sure you're hitting all the standards by empowering students to still have their own voice and what they want and how they want to showcase their learning. And so I was encouraged to think about, what am I doing for students that they can be doing for themselves, whether it's assessments, whether it's showing me their learning, whether it's having a mentor text, but then them having choice novels in the English classroom. And so I was really encouraged that as educators, we can empower our students to just become lifelong learners, and kind of similar to like what Jake was saying, just be innovative in how we're doing that and how what we're doing is best practice, but then Spencer always talks about you also need to be thinking about next practice. So what's coming down the line and what can we be doing to have our school district continue to be an innovative school district.
That's one of the coolest things about SLATE is the next practice, seeing what other teachers, what other innovators are doing. They brought in people from all over, and something that you're familiar with. I went to a session on Google Maps, and I use Google Maps a lot. We use Google Maps for directions, but how can you encourage students to use that in your classroom, maybe in some different ways? So I teach world history and learning about how there's these photospheres, and instead of just talking about a certain part of the world, we can use Google Maps to actually access a 360 image and kind of explore those places that we're talking about and give students a real life perspective. So some of the next practice stuff was really cool to see a lot of great innovators at the conference.
So I would say we went to this conference, and Platteville was represented on the statewide stage and represented very well. And as it usually works in education, there's always collaboration, there's always communication. So we took a lot from that, and now it's our challenge to distribute that amongst all of our staff here, which then gets into the classrooms. So if you have a chance, ask your students about the topics that we talked about today, and let's see if we can get better. Thank you.